This is Dr. Tracy R, Superintendent of Reynoldsburg City Schools. Today's presentation will discuss safety and security of students and staff. The safety and well-being of our students is a top priority in Reynoldsburg City Schools. Today's presentation will outline and discuss existing safety measures, an overview of our building security, discuss expected student behavior as outlined in the REYN way, the consequences of unsafe behavior outlined in our student code of conduct, the support services for students, and a call to action for all families and community members. Each slide will provide an opportunity for parents or community members to submit questions or comments using the QR code at the bottom right corner of your screen.
Hello, my name is Greg Pollock, and I have the esteemed pleasure of being the Executive Director of Business with the Reynoldsburg City Schools. I am in my second year here with the district of over 35 years of K-12 experience as an administrator, teacher, and all those good things. I just want to provide you with a brief overview of our safety and security program and department here, and then I will hand it off to our Director of Safety and Security, Mr. Ramsey, for some more of the details. But just as an overview, we do have a Director of Safety and Security. We have a coordinator, and then we have a team of 12 staff members that work in the buildings with our students daily. Some of our recent upgrades include a new door management system, protective film on the windows, vape detectors in our junior highs and high schools, and our most recent addition are flock cameras, which identify the folks with warrants and things that come onto our properties and alert the police and us as to their presence on our properties. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Ramsey for some more information about his team and the fine work that they do daily.
Thank you, Mr. Pollock. I appreciate that. One of the things that I want to focus on and sharing with the public is our staff. I have a team of 12 people. We have those folks spread throughout the district. Our main focus would be the high schools, as they are the larger campuses. I have safety specialists also at the junior highs, and then I actually have a specialist that rotates between all of the elementary schools as well. And I focus highly on education of that staff. I want to make sure that our staff knows that our students they build relationships with our students every day, and we do that through a various difference in approach, whether it's through the mental health side of the district or the security side. I want our student body to make sure that they can come to our staff and talk with them about a wide variety of things, which they do. Our safety procedures are the same from one building to the next. They cover district-wide. We plan the same for each building as we do the next, because I want to make sure that our staff, students, they understand that if they're in this building, this happens, and if they're in the next building, the same exact thing happens, so that there's not that guesswork. Our training has enhanced by almost twofold from what we were when I came here 2 years ago. Again, focus a lot on our mental health side of our students and making sure that we're caring for those needs. I bring a little different approach. I don't want our safety staff to be a staff that just walks out and checks doors and things like that. Although they do that, I want them to have a broader approach and make those relationships with our students. I think that's one of the most important things that we do. We've added a lot of safety features. It's like Mr. Pollock said, we've added some vape detectors, our protective window film, and our most recent install was the flock cameras. I think that's one of the most important upgrades that we've made in the district of recent. Our second tier that we look at is our school resource officers that are provided by Reynoldsburg Police Department. I have a very good working relationship with Chief Baker, and we make sure that those folks that he puts in our buildings are along the same kind of ideas that we have as far as building relationships with our students, and making that connection of a positive role model with law enforcement. I think that's very, very important in our times today.
Hello, I am Scott Bennett. I'm the Reynoldsburg High School principal, so I'm the principal that goes back and forth between both campuses. Sometimes I'm at Summit, sometimes I'm over at Livingston. I get to talk to you about a couple things here today. The first one I'm going to talk to you about is what our PBIS incentives look like in the school. PBIS stands for Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports. So we recognize that the vast majority of our students, I would tell you on any given day, 95 to 98% of our students are doing the right thing. We have a ton of good kids in the building that are doing the right things, and we want to make sure that we have opportunities to recognize those students and reward them for doing the right things. So what we use is something called the REYN way. REYN, R-E-Y-N, then is an acronym that stands for be respectful, be engaged, be your best self, and be noticed. all of our staff members have REYN tickets they can give out throughout the day. Anytime that they see a student who's participating in these behaviors, they can get those REYN tickets. We have school stores on both campuses then that students can cash in those REYN tickets and get, different treats and snacks and those kind of things throughout the day. We also do different raffles. So I know we've raffled off football tickets and basketball tickets. I'm sure we'll raffle off some prom tickets here. So again, just an opportunity for us to recognize all the really, really good things that our kids are doing and make sure that they feel rewarded and seen in the building. Next one I get to talk to you about is the code of conduct. So those are kind of what the rules are. I think one of the questions that families have is they constantly kind of want to know about what the consequences are for students when they break different pieces of the code of conduct. So I can tell you about those things in kind of general. I can't talk to specific instances, but in general, we can always talk about it. So we kind of separate the code of conduct into minor infractions, major infractions, and severe infractions. Minor infractions are going to be those kind of things that take place in a classroom level, right? So if a student is late to class, they're talking too much, they're being disruptive in the classroom, those kind of things we consider to be minor infractions. The consequence for that is usually going to be something that's going to be like a detention or an in-school suspension. That's usually where the minor infractions go to. Major infractions can be things like bullying, threatening behavior, use of nicotine, those kind of things. So those are our major infractions. When we have those, there's usually going to be a 3 to 5 day out of school suspension. When that suspension ends, we do have some sort of a restorative measure when the students return from a major infraction. So that might be a restorative circle where they have to talk to the people that were involved with the incident. It may be a meeting to talk to those students about what it is that they're going to need to be able to be successful now that they come back. There's different ways that we can do that. And then our last category is those severe infractions. Severe infractions are going to be things like fighting, drugs, alcohol, and sex. When we get into those kind of infractions, we're talking about a 5 to 10 day suspension. And there's usually going to be a recommendation for expulsion that goes along with that. Once we recommend expulsion, then that goes to our expulsion hearing officer. They make a determination and they can add anywhere from 1 day to 180 days as a maximum number of days of expulsion. So I know there's been some concern when we talk to parents. They wonder about when a student is expelled, how is it they're allowed to come back? There are some state laws around that about maximum number of days that students can be out. So even if they do receive an expulsion, students do come back at some point in time. When they do come back, we do restorative measures with them as well. So again, that always starts with the reentry meeting where we talk with the family and the student, and we try to put a plan in place of what's going to make the student be successful when they return. Kind of our overall safety plan in the building. Obviously, we have our school resource officers. There's a school resource officer stationed at both campuses. We also have our safety and security personnel. During each class change and during each period, we also have teachers who are assigned to specific locations in the building. One of the questions that comes up pretty often is, what are we doing about the restrooms, and are we keeping an eye on those? Yes, we have teachers and safety and security personnel that are assigned to those restrooms. They're keeping an eye on that. If they see too many students in the restroom or they're hearing some loud noises in there, they'll go in and they'll clear the restrooms and get those kids going back to class. So we do have people who are assigned to those things. During special events, if it's basketball games, football games, dances, all those sort of things, we're going to have administrative folks there along with our safety and security personnel. We meet pretty extensively before that. We've already started meeting to discuss prom and where everyone's going to be stationed at and what that is going to look like. But we have ourselves at key places around the event to make sure that we are monitoring and keeping people safe during those as well.
Hello, my name is Mr. Naeem Sanders, and I serve as the Assistant Superintendent for Reynoldsburg City Schools. Today, I would like to talk to you about our student support services that we offer to students and families here at Reynoldsburg City Schools. A lot of these deal with the behavioral and mental health resources as supports for students. We have full-time school counselors and social workers in each of our buildings to help meet the needs of students who may need that additional support in order to learn and overcome barriers that prevent them from learning. Some of our school-based health and wellness services include our social and emotional learning that provide resources for students in the classroom to gain proactively different lessons about how to deal with just everyday challenges that may come. We have our Sources of Strength suicide prevention program, our social inclusion programming, as well as our bullying prevention program as well. We are fortunate here at Reynoldsburg City Schools to have some wonderful community partnerships. These partnerships include Nationwide Children's Hospital, who provide a variety of services to our students and families dealing with mental health and also physical health as well. We have the Buckeye Ranch, We also work with the Village Network, which is at one of our junior high schools only, and then also the Southeast Healthcare Prevention Service as a provider as well. One of the ways that you're able to have access or obtain these services for behavioral mental health would be through our school referrals, which can be made through our social workers, our school counselors, or our administrator. If you feel for any reason that your children are in need of these support systems, please do not hesitate to reach out to any of our schools.
As we approach the second half of the school year, I look forward to strengthening our partnership as we promote positive behavior in our schools. There are several ways you may want to consider in being our partner to promote positive behavior, such as volunteering in one of our schools, supporting our PTOs or booster groups, and finally, joining our team as a full or part-time employee is also something you can consider. Thank you for continuing to support our schools.